ask questions, you can stop me. If I don't have the answer, I might ask somebody else. Maybe at a later date, if you guys are writing down questions on your handout, you guys can ask me the questions later, maybe email me. So what we do for the teachers is we send them out, and paraprofessionals as well, we can send you guys out some IEPs at a glance. There's a couple of paraprofessionals that do ask us, can I see what the disability is of the kid I'm working with? By all means, you guys can look at it. So we get out an IEP at a glance. An IEP at a glance is a brief overview of the IEP. It gives you what the disability is, what the goals are, what we're working with them. Gives you the demographic data, their phone number, their address, their parent guardian. IEP dates, when their IEPs are due, so you'll know when their next annual is due. Who the case carrier is. The disability category that we just went over before. The percentages of time, how much services do we get the student? The goals and objectives, and accommodation modifications that we do for the students. So maybe in some classrooms we're going to say that some of the assignments they're not going to complete all the questions. So we need to know that if it's in their IEP, we have to follow suit. And then service minutes. What are we required by law to give that student? A certain amount of time, and we have to record it. Go ahead. So for an IEP meeting to happen, and sometimes we do get this pushback from regular teachers, is they'll tell us, well, why do I have to be there? Can't I just, by law, we have to have participants. I think it's 4, yeah, it's 4 of them. So the required participants for an IEP meeting is federal and state law. We must have an administrator or a designee. We must have a special education teacher, a regular education teacher, and the parent. The student's not required to attend because the parent holds education rights. In high school, if the student's able, the capacity of the student's able to comprehend what's going on, we want them at the meeting because in high school they're going to know more. So if we can, we want them in the meeting. Now there is a certain way that we do have excusal forms. Like let's just say this administrator can't come. Can we still hold it? Well, the parent has to give us the permission to say, okay, this person who is a required member is excused, or maybe a teacher can't make it. The parent has to give us an excusal for that member because they're required. And it's okay by law to have that teacher not attend, but they still have to give their input. They still have to tell us, this is how the student's doing, this is what I think we can do, their accommodations, modifications in the classroom. So they're required, but if there's some extraneous circumstance that they cannot make it, we can have an excusal form, but it has to be agreed upon by the parent and the team. Go ahead. Okay, so what's the general education's role in IEP? If they're not present and they do get one of those excusal forms, they need to give us an input form. So we send out an input form, they need to fill it out. If they're not there and we still need their participation, even though we only need one general education teacher to come. If that general education teacher is not the one that's invited, and we still want them to participate with the students in their class, so we have them fill out an input form. How's the kid doing in your class? What kind of accommodations, modifications do you perform? We have services in some classes, and in some classes we don't. So in the classes we don't, we need to know what's being done to accommodate for the student's disability. If the teacher does come into the meeting, they're going to be able to speak to it themselves. So their role is big because they're specifically representing the general education population. They're the expert in the field. Their input is very valuable. They're part of the team. They're the ones representing the general ed environment.